Welcome to Flash News Now. Here are today's top 12 stories. South Korea's Starbucks to shut for staff history lesson after backlash. The chain was criticized for a Tank Day marketing ploy on the anniversary of a military massacre. Spain vs Cape Verde Live, World Cup 2026. Follow our live build-up with full team news coverage ahead of our live text commentary stream. Goals galore for Germany and Sweden. Ivory Coast leaves it until the last minute. World Cup debrief. It was goals galore last night, especially for Germany, who got 7 goals past Curaçao. The rookies, though, scored their first ever World Cup goal. The goals continued in the Estadio Monterrey as Sweden won 5-1 against Tunisia. Meanwhile, Ivory Coast did what they do best and scored in the dying minutes of their game against Ecuador. Meanwhile, the Netherlands and Japan had a tight 90 minutes which ended in a 2-2 draw. Ebola risk for World Cup is extremely low, but US is ready, experts say. U.S. hospitals and agencies have enhanced preparedness for Ebola, but some experts warn of public health system strains. Russian strikes kill 11 and set historic cathedral in Kyiv ablaze. A Ukrainian drone attack in the Russian city of Tula, south of Moscow, killed 3 people. Son of Norway's crown princess sentenced to 4 years in prison for rape. The case strikes at the heart of Norway's self-image as a low-crime, egalitarian society and tests the resilience of its constitutional monarchy, which has long relied on an aura of moral exemplarity to justify its symbolic role. By imposing a 4-year term on the crown princess's son, the judiciary signals that even royalty is not immune to the nation's strict penal code, a message that could recalibrate public expectations of accountability for the elite and embolden opposition parties that have long criticized the royal family's opacity. Observers should track the royal household's response, whether it will issue a public apology, restructure security protocols, or distance itself from the convicted relative, as well as any parliamentary debate on tightening background checks for individuals linked to the crown. A satellite just learned to find things on its own. Here's what that means. In April, for the first time ever, an Earth observation satellite found what it was looking for, all on its own. Island surrounded by war, Crimeans panic amid Ukrainian attacks. The current flare-up in Crimea matters because the peninsula has become Russia's de facto strategic reserve for Black Sea power projection, a hub for air defense batteries, naval logistics and a conduit for oil and gas shipments that underwrite Moscow's war economy. A sustained Ukrainian strike campaign that forces Moscow to divert air defense assets, scramble reserve forces or impose emergency curfews chips away at the illusion of invulnerability that the annexation was meant to convey, and it tests the limits of Russia's ability to protect a territory that lies far from its core industrial base. Netanyahu's life project failed with US-Iran deal. Sudanese people have been fighting for freedom for decades, director Hind Meddeb. The director of a film that shows how the people of Sudan have spent years fighting for their freedom has spoken of its power. Amid the civil war in Sudan that has killed tens of thousands since it broke out in 2023, a film made 4 years earlier during the 2019 uprising against the dictatorship has become something of a beacon for the Sudanese people. Sudan, Remember Us, is being shown in Paris at a masterclass that discusses how difficult and important it is to film demonstrations and uprising. We spoke to director Hind Meddeb in perspective. Iran, US agree tentative deal to end war, your questions answered. Uncertainty remains over whether Israel will honor the agreement. Hashtag Trump celebrates 80th birthday with hashtag UFC fight at hashtag WhiteHouse. As the Trump administration's 250th anniversary celebrations unfold amidst a precarious diplomatic landscape, the hosting of a high-stakes UFC fight at the White House garden is less a celebration of American heritage than a calculated distraction from the administration's mounting domestic and foreign policy woes. Coinciding with the U.S. President's 80th birthday and a newly announced preliminary agreement with Iranian officials, the event may be an attempt to shift the narrative away from Trump's flagging approval ratings and towards a more triumphant, albeit fleeting, narrative of U.S. diplomatic success. That was your Flash News Now bulletin. Subscribe for more.